Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to Garbaugust 2024. Garbaugust 3D, a BookTube event created by Ollie at Criminali, where he gets us all to read trash and like it. I've been having a little bit of a spotty month with reading garbage because there's quite a bit of garbage out there in the world that doesn't know it's garbage. I've been trying in the last week or so to really go back to garbage that does know it's garbage, garbage where I will be pleased. And I realized yesterday afternoon when I was puttering around the place and talking with my dog and taking breaks from writing, I realized that I bought a lot of paperbacks that were trash in the run up to Garbaugust, hoping for exactly that. uh, it's all wheezing, burping, belching, sneezing, coughing in today's videos. All of it is. So you welcome to the upper respiratory tract wing of the hospital. But it must be something in the air. Anyway, I went back to that little stash of paperbacks and pulled out one that I that I thought would make good uh, honest to gosh trash reading, and boy did it ever. I pulled out this thing, Counterfeit Death by William Bannister, where this guy has a playful blonde holding a gun on him on the cover. But then on the back, he's got the gun. It's just one photo shoot. Check out those bell bottoms, huh? Ollie and I used to have bell bottoms just like that back in the 70s. This is from 1968, this book. And I want to read you the plot synopsis from the back. This is an Easy Eye edition. I had no idea, or if I did, I forgot it, that Easy Eye editions came in normal books as opposed to the old Magnum Easy Eye editions of canonical classics that I used to love so much. That had the exact same logo except they had Magnum over the top there. I had no idea that they made books, ordinary books, or substandard books. Bert Bascom was in trouble. That wasn't unusual for a guy they called Bad News Bert. But this time the problem was of monumental proportions. There was an exceedingly clever and shady racket going on. It involved very real, very valuable art treasures and counterfeit pesos, both being smuggled across the Mexican border. And Bert was smack in the middle because his red-headed girlfriend Vanessa was being held hostage, so he had to become a reluctant smuggler. Then there was the steel-hard blonde pretending to be his wife to make sure he followed through. The deadly game had to be stopped before it caused an international incident, but Bert was helpless in the tightest frame ever devised. Uh, and there you get the central gimmick of this Garbaugust piece, this trashy novel, is that not only is Bert being blackmailed into helping with this cross-the-border smuggling scheme, which is never all that well fleshed out in this book, not only is he being blackmailed into doing that, but he is being guarded by an operative of the group that is blackmailing him, who's pretending to be his girlfriend, pretending to be his wife, living with him day in and day out, in and out of bed. So that he can't ever work a counter ruse of his own, either to turn these people in and get them known to the authorities or to save his girlfriend. He's not. It seems like he's not ever free to do that because she's with him all the time, which is the bare bones of a clever idea. What's his name again? William Bannister does not do anything with that clever idea. There's also another clever idea, a clever twist, a potential clever twist that occurs later on in this book. That I read it and thought, oh, okay. Well, that's actually a good idea. Why didn't you go with that? Why didn't you start with that? But I know exactly why. I don't know anything about this author. I don't know anything about the generation of this book, but I know exactly why that idea. I don't want to spoil it because it involves our main character. But I know exactly why that genuinely clever idea pops up out of nowhere and is never exploited. Because I guarantee you that when William Bannister was pounding this stuff out on a manual typewriter, he hadn't thought up that idea. And of course, you're not going to revise. You're not going to revise anything like this. any trash, you're not going to do it. The whole point of making it financially worth your while will be to get it out of your typewriter and off in a manila envelope as fast as possible. If you can do that in 2 days, 6 days, well, then all of a sudden you've made a pretty good hourly wage out of, I don't know, a check for $500, something like that. You made a pretty good wage out. You've made a pretty good deal out of that if you keep your work time down. Believe you me, I have been a freelancer for a very, very long time, and that is the mathematics involved until you become a big name. until you become a superstar and you can just set a flat rate. And if they want the selling power of your name, they'll pay it, and if not, then not. But otherwise, if you're like me, if you're a freelancer like me, your answer to any possible job will be yes. And the whole key, no matter how miserly our offered rate is, will come from the sliding scale of how much time it takes you to do it. If you get a pretty miserable low offer, you say yes because you want a reputation as a person to come back to. You want to favorably impress the people that you're working with as being easy, tractable, reliable. And instead of hitting them up for more money, which is the absolute kiss of death, instead of hitting them up for more money, you get the project, think about it for a dog walk, and then realize, well, okay, if I actually do all the work of this in 24 hours, then I have been well paid. I don't have to tell them that. But if I only take 24 hours to do this, then the amount of money they're offering me is good money. I guarantee you that's what happened here with William Bannister. Is that he got to his good idea, pretty much the one good idea in the book. I mean, the idea of having a villainous plant pretend to be your wife so that you can't ever go off on your own hook. That's pretty good. It's not exploited at all, but that's pretty good. But the twist at the end of the book is even better, and it's not exploited at all. Instead, we get Bad News Bert reciting his own adventure. This is a little bit unusual for a lot of Garbaugust novels that I've read, in that it's narrated in the first person. He turns out to have a flippant, insouciant, Lord Peter Wimsey attitude towards life that doesn't work at all. His novel doesn't work at all in any way. He, for instance, goes to bed with one woman and wakes up with his evil organization plant. And it gets off the quip, "You can scarcely avoid being taken aback when you go to bed with a redhead and awaken with a blonde. One can scarcely be blamed at all if he decides destiny is playing games in his dream world." Okay, all right, fine. I want to read you a little bit longer segment so you get an idea of what kind of an ordeal that this was to read. "I was so drowsy that I felt scarcely any tingle at the ever-present nearness of Darine, there on the front seat with me, or of the other constant companion there in the back seat, and prepared to put a whole 32 of an inch wide through the rear of my cranium if I any more exasperated him. Maybe it stunned rather than titillated me to know that Darine and I this day had spent $1 million cash, having returned to the hotel about dinner time with a valuable big stack of purchases to deliver them, and to refill our 2 overnight bags with neat, high-caliber currency." Now, I admit I'm doing a crappy job of reading that, but that's also really crappy prose. Like almost everyone else who's too lazy to be a high-energy opportunist, I've dreamed about having a suitcase full of big bills to chuck around recklessly, but this was the first and likely the last time I'd have a whole series of bagfuls. Is he tossing the bags, or the bills, or the dreams? I don't know. Maybe William Bannister should take up English as a language. And we also get extremely strained comparisons. The similes and metaphors in here are among the funniest things in the book, unintentionally, but still. Like, for instance, there's this: "I felt as depressed as the New York Stock Exchange after news that the men from Mars have landed and have taken over all American industry." Oh, you feel just that depressed, do you? How depressed is that? I don't know. And neither do you. Neither does anybody. Nice simile there you got there. Needless to say, Bad News Bert does figure out a way out of this dilemma, and he does save the girl. But it's all titillation. He saves the girl, but he can't resist the fact that he's sharing a bed with someone else, even though she would gladly order the murder of his girlfriend. It's pure. It's 1970s lust, but it's 1970s lust before its time. 1968 is close enough. We did our share of lusting in the 1960s as well. It's just pure libido. It's just pure wish fulfillment. he is just enough of an everyman character. Although that's risked by the first-person narrative. That's why I think a lot of these things don't do that. Because if you do a third-person narrative and just write about a sexy guy, although Bert doesn't think he's sexy except his hair, which in the cover is this, which is dirty dishwater, but in the book it's repeatedly said that his hair is bright red. But it's if he is largely bulletproof and irresistible to women and great in a tight spot and jumps from helicopters and whatnot, and it's third person, well, then that makes it easy for a pot-bellied middle-aged stockbroker who's taking the train in from Chappaqua to identify as him. But if you give him a voice of his own, if you put him in the first person, well, what if he doesn't sound like the reader? What if the reader says, oh, I don't know who this guy is, but it's certainly not me? I have to think that's why a lot of times I don't read that. But I read this, and it was duly terrible. So I feel like my Garbaugust train is back on the tracks. So I'll wrap this up for now, and I will consult that pile of trash again tonight. Instead of going off on Kindle Unlimited or whatever, I will go back to the paperbacks that I bought specifically for this purpose. So I'll wrap this up for now, and I will see you then. Thank you, BookTube.